In the last year or so, Sam Seder, and particularly Emma Vigeland, have been constantly getting wrecked in debates and interactions with other people, and it's been glorious. They had on journalist Jesse Singal, who's written for the New York Magazine and The Atlantic. Singal, like many people, has been hesitant about the transgender treatment that's offered to young people.
Yeah, I think there's probably a fair amount we agree on some of the stuff you guys discuss, including just how bad it is to try to ban youth gender medicine. That was something I wrote about in May of 2020, before it was a national story. I also think there's probably some areas where there's a little bit of disagreement, but they tend to be edge cases, just stuff where there's probably going to have to be some, debate and compromise. But
please, Jesse, I just want to make something clear. I don't care where we agree on. That is, I can't tell you how irrelevant it is to me what we agree on, whether it's in the context of trans stuff, whether it's in the context of any other politics. Wholly irrelevant.
Extremely good faith, right out the gate. This shows why people don't like Sam Seder and really confirms what Tim Pool had said about him.
But he's considered widely in the space to be, it's kind of stupid to say, but grifter.
We've heard similar things. I'll leave it at that.
But the perception is he is not a good faith individual trying to have a political argument. He's trying to WWE style fan his audience. And you know what I mean? His audience might like it. It's WWE style politics. And so there's higher format shows that are just we don't associate with this guy. And I think he knows it. And I think what you were just saying about getting those messages, he knows it, and he complains about it a lot.
Aside from being extremely puerile, it doesn't even really make sense. To have a debate, you need to know what you agree on, so you know what you disagree on.
The reason why I think you are toxic and at best extremely unhelpful in this area is that you distort the importance of this issue. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. That's not you, but it's an analogy, and it's an extreme one, but that's...
Hey, just because we have limited time, could we just keep this to stuff I've written that you have...
No.
How reasonable. They're so afraid to actually engage in the conversation that Sam is actively trying to derail it and go off topic.
There was a writer who wanted to argue, and you remember what was happening in 2004, 2005 in Iraq. Maybe it was before your time, I'm not sure. Who wanted to argue that there is nuance in the context of the torture debate.
Sam is so afraid of debating the topic of transgender care for children that he pivots to torture during the Iraq War for no reason. So far, when it comes to transgender care for children, we've learned that where they agree is irrelevant, but torture used during the Iraq War is for some reason.
You are just writing stuff that you think is accurate, very technically accurate. I believe that if you are writing in this manner and you are promoting ideas in this manner in public, then you must take responsibility not just for the specific content as the letters, but its impact and how it's heard and how it's used in a political struggle that is going on.
But obviously that only applies to other people and not Sam himself. Because Destiny made that exact same argument about you in your reporting about the Kyle Rittenhouse case.
These are quotes that I've written down from your video. So one was, you said he killed 2 people with a gun because he killed people in a neighboring town, which is technically true in the same way that white people are becoming a minority in the United States. But I wouldn't let a conservative get away with that latter statement because it's obvious what they're implying, same as the former of what you're implying.
And you and I can disagree on that, but nothing I'm saying is factually incorrect whatsoever.
It's not just...
Like my opinion, Stephen.
In the case of Singal, it doesn't matter if it's just technically accurate. It's also important about the impact his work has. But when Sam Seder distorts the narrative around the Kyle Rittenhouse case, it's just his opinion And all that matters is that it was technically factually correct. Here are some of the clips of his distortions around the Kyle Rittenhouse case.
Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to protect this mom and pop store I've never even been in. No, that's not what's happening.
No, they're totally horny to kill some leftists
Exactly.
and people of color.
This is an ideological fight.
Opinion is that Kyle Rittenhouse did not go to protect a business. He went to intimidate left-wing protesters for Black lives. This is what white supremacist paramilitaries have done since Ferguson. Rittenhouse was acting like a Hitler Youth with a full confidence of a 1960 Mississippi Klansman policing a civil rights march. Let's not push the right strategic lies. I mean, I think that's, I was just going along, but I understand your point. And that is a valid opinion. Now, I understand why people find it really hard to believe that this guy was so concerned with someone else's store that he had never met or seen. I mean, it's odd. It is odd. It is. And the idea that it was like, the specifics of the protest, that wasn't the issue. I was just concerned that somebody might go in and steal, some Skittles.
Destiny could have done better in that debate, but his overall argument is 100% true. With regards to the Rittenhouse case, Sam left out a ton of context to frame it in a way that he wanted. Destiny uses a George Floyd example in this debate, but I think a better one is one that I'm going to pull from Carl Trueman. The Twin Towers fell down on 9/11 because of gravity. While technically true, it leaves out so much context that it paints a misleading and dishonest picture.
Raymond, when you're saying he went to go and protect stores because somebody might steal some Skittles, and he killed 2 people with his gun to protect some stores. They weren't just Skittles that were on fire that night, and he didn't kill people protecting stores. He killed people that tried to kill him.
I mean, the minutia in which you're taking issue with.
But hey, those journalistic standards only apply to other people, never Sam Seder.
My work described that gender medicine as life-saving, and it quoted multiple trans adults who found it life-saving. So you can't read my article.
How late in the piece, Jesse? Have you heard of the principle of journalism where essentially you're supposed to...
Emma.
No. How late into the piece?
Top of the piece.
How late into the piece, Jesse?
Top of the piece.
Jesse, I'm looking at this section that you sent me about for sure trans-affirming care. This paragraph. There's 3,500 words in front of it. The section that you clipped for me.
Yeah. So you would think that the more obvious point, just basic rules of journalism.
Well, wait a second,
you're a journalist. No.
Was it 3,500 words in, or was it at the top of the piece?
Yeah. Which part?
It was 3,500 words into a 12,000 word piece, so it was near the top.
My God, the journalistic standards that they're holding this guy to. It wasn't enough that he argued in favor of trans people, but they're not happy with its placement within this long-ass article he's written. But when Sam spreads misinformation and misleads people, that's...
Minutia in which you're taking issue with.
I would consider where he placed this within this very long article to be minutia. It just shows you how afraid they are to engage in debate.
It was in the top 25% of a 12,000 word piece. Okay.
Right.
They're just upset it wasn't a picture book and they wouldn't be able to read that far into an article.
Of the trend of the overwhelming data that shows that gender affirming care for youth is effective.
But what you just said isn't true. There isn't overwhelming evidence.
There is.
The evidence clearly isn't overwhelming. Even someone like Kyle Kulinski doesn't take that radical of a stance.
And there is some debate from within the expert community. Hey, what should be allowed? What shouldn't be allowed? What should the waiting period be? Etc. In terms of when you're dealing with trans youth, there is a debate among the experts as to what are the proper lines, what is the proper waiting period, just how much vetting do you do, and I think all that is healthy.
You know you're completely insane when you make Kyle Kulinski look reasonable.
There is. I'm looking. Okay, have you read the Journal of Pediatrics and their clear results on this front, where they looked at children, youth,
you're talking
over
about a
5
Jack
years.
Paper. I've written 2 no. So the
one study by one person is overwhelming evidence. And look at her face as she realizes he knows more about the study than she does.
5 years.
Paper. I've written 2 no. Christina Olson's paper took a group of kids who transitioned early, social transition.
Yep.
She found that 93% of them 5 years in were still in that socially transitioned role, but none of them were diagnosed with gender dysphoria. So you can't compare that to the question I'm interested in, which is whether these treatments help alleviate gender dysphoria, because we don't know if the kids in Olson's sample had gender dysphoria.
You're using outdated terminology to talk about children who are already socially transitioning and showing that that is effective and they're consistent after that 5-year period in their transition.
This is just an objective matter of fact. What you just said,
this is pedantic.
Oh shit, you've completely proved me wrong and I look like an idiot. So now I have to make it look like you're being pedantic. This seems to be a common tactic, as it's one Sam Seder deployed earlier.
I mean, the minutia in which you're taking issue with.
Do you believe that it is? Do you believe that gender affirming care works and is overwhelmingly effective with children? Do you believe it?
I am with the 5 European countries who have looked into this question closely, and all of them are like, we don't know yet, we need more data.
So 5 countries think we need more data. But how can this be? Isn't the data overwhelming? What do those experts know? Random idiot Emma Vigeland said the data is overwhelming, so it must be. Because she has one paper that she hasn't even read.
Well, Jesse, then let me just ask you directly once again. Do you believe that the established standards of care in the United States are effective and should be implemented to help children as they begin to transition in their youth?
The standards of care say that kids should get like 1 to 2 years of therapy before they transition. So that might be too conservative, but yeah, something like that.
Okay, so what's the issue?
So then what's the problem?
Those are the new standards of care. The question is whether people are following them.
Okay, well, you know what?
I doubt Emma.
But the evidence that you've shown, the Jamie Reed whistleblower, bro, has been discredited over and over again, and you wrote a whole write-up about that.
She hasn't been discredited?
Not been discredited?
Hold on, a couple things. Guys, one thing at a time. Emma.
Wait, she hasn't been discredited?
Can we finish it?
Well, can I just be clear on what you said?
I'm happy to talk to you.
She has not been discredited.
Let me finish my point.
Okay, wait.
Okay, let me finish.
You just said something. I just want to. I was talking over you. I just want to make sure you said it. Jamie Reed has not been discredited in your mind.
I'm happy to address this. I just want to finish up the thing about the standards of care because I think that's super important, actually.
They will not go back to this point because they know they're clueless. So they keep trying to pivot. Thankfully, Singhal is smart enough to know that's what they're trying to do, and he tries to get them to answer.
You didn't say this. I'm just curious about what you said just a couple of seconds ago on this show.
I'd like to finish.
Hey, dude, I got a big guest that's coming up in a minute.
Yeah. Has Jamie Reed been discredited or no?
Emma, it sounds to me that you think kids should get 1 to 2 years of therapy.
Has Jamie Reed, who was not intimately involved...
She has not been discredited.
Oh, that's interesting to me.
Okay,
that's interesting because, we've got to run, but people can look this up.
Oh, how convenient. They have to run and they never return to the point. Absolute cowards.
When you come on the show, can we just get a little bit more specific about the SSD stuff?
Honestly, dude, I mean, look, I want to engage in good faith.
Oh yeah, this has clearly been good faith. Going on his show would mean actually addressing his points, which is terrifying for Emma.
And to be honest with you, like, I don't back down from anybody. And
okay, so you're backing out, though, is what you're saying.
Look how angry she is because he called her out for the coward she is.
It's unfortunate. I was hoping to have you on because
Jesse, if that's what you want to hang your hat on, have a good rest of the week, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, we appreciate the call, Jesse.
Yeah, couldn't care less. Thank you. Bye.
And at the beginning of the call, he was so pleasant.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, thanks to Emma. She's going to come on my podcast, Blocked and Reported. I appreciate that. It takes some guts to do that, given our disagreements, but...
What makes this even more embarrassing for Emma is how condescending she was to him on Twitter beforehand. She said he was trying to get out of the show. How predictable. Even though in the end, it was her who was the coward and ran away. And it doesn't even make sense, because in the tweet she was replying to, he said he'll still call in anyway. So how does that indicate he was trying to get out of the call? And here's the tweet to show that she did accept going on to the show. Destiny later brought up Jesse Singhal's name in front of Emma, and she's so petrified of him and traumatized that she turns into a blubbering idiot.
So looking at somebody like Single, how would we say that that's like a transphobic person? Somebody that clearly aligns with most left-leaning things, is clearly in favor of most forms of trans therapy. Is it because he takes a critical look at some research that let's just write him off as transphobic?
Well, I don't think that I don't know. I don't think that
The debate was so humiliating for the Majority Report, they didn't clip and upload the live stream like they normally do. They did make another video on Jesse, and the dislike bar and comments speak for itself. At least on this occasion, the Majority Report fans were able to see through their sneaky tactics.